I just want to do a brief update since I had my, expulsion hearing for my daughter with Palo Verde High School. If you have been following my page or just happen to come across my story, or if this is your first time, just go back through my videos and it's a timeline of events that I've been documenting. But I did just want to brief everyone on what happened. It might not be brief, but I'm going to try to make it brief as possible. But I do want to read this introduction. I got some notes here, but I do want to read this introduction from the Clark County School District's policy 5137. Clark County School District is committed to providing a safe, secure, and respectful learning environment for all students and employees at all district facilities, school buildings, in school buses, on school grounds, and at school sponsored activities. And I actually read the wrong one, so let me go right under here. I wanted to read the definition of bullying so that you can see where I'm going with this. It says bullying means written, verbal, or electronic expressions or physical acts or gestures or a combination thereof that are directed at a person or a group or of persons, or a single severe and willful act or expression that is directed at a person or group of persons, and have the effect of physically harming a person or damaging the person, property. It says, where was I at? Placing a person in reasonable fear of physical harm to the person or damage to the property of the person, or interfere with the rights of a person, creating an intimidating or hostile educational environment for the person, or substantially interfering with the academic performance of a student or the ability of the person to participate in or benefit from services, activities, or privileges provided by a school. It keeps going, but there's enough there, okay? So as I stated, if you've been following my videos, then you are aware that when I arrived to the school the day my daughter was finally attacked and assaulted by the group of kids, my first question to staff was, where were you guys? Where were you guys? How did you guys let this happen? I'm coming across a video, or the kids are, and they're sharing it with me, and I'm just in disbelief that I don't see any adults in the video. Oh, I'm sorry, one, and then maybe two arrived. A video or a brawl that went on for over 3 minutes. And there was only two adults at one clip of the video that I seen. And then, okay, I'll take that back. At the very end of the whole assaulting incident, there were two men. I'm not going to say rough handling, but low key, it appeared to be rough handling my daughter. And she was screaming, let me go, because she has asthma problems. And she was already out there fighting for several minutes. There was no staff. There was no security. There was no campus monitors. There was no administrators. There were no bus drivers. There were no teachers. There was no school police. There were none of these people that should have been out there at dismissal when Palo Verde let out at 1:11 p.m. So again, I just really have to reiterate that I asked multiple times where they were. Why weren't there any adults that I know are designated to dismissal? Where were they to intervene? I know you guys probably couldn't have stopped the initial incident, but where were you to intervene and prevent my daughter from being pounced and pummeled and beaten on, or even having to defend herself, right? So this is what Principal Schumacher explained to me during my appeal. Mind you guys, she upheld her decision to recommend my daughter for expulsion. She did not change her decision even after all of the information has circulated, even with the videos, even with the fact that they've already failed my daughter and failed their own no bullying, zero bullying tolerance. She says she was there and all of the designated staff that is assigned. And before I get ahead of myself, let me rewind, because when I was asking the people in the office or even school police and hall monitors where they were, they all stated that there were other incidents being handled on campus when this broke out. They were already handling in an incident, so they couldn't get there or they couldn't be there. That's what they told me multiple times. That's what the assistant principal Johnston, this man told me that even himself and many others were handling several incidents that had broke out on campus right before the incident with my daughter. That was their justification for them not being there or them not being able to intervene. That was their little cover up real quick. Let's think fast. Or maybe it was the truth, or I don't know. Whoever's in charge would have to go back and look at that date and see if anything else is documented. But the way that they handle business, it probably isn't documented. So there's nothing to back up their story. So not only did she say that, she went as far as to tell me that as far as CCSD policy goes, major campus disruption is an expellable offense on the first offense per principal discretion. Her discretion. Your staff failed, and it's up to you to decide if these kids or if this victim, my child, should be expelled, and you feel like you're going to go forward with it. So we move on to the conversation, and we both have our timeline of events. She messed up real quick because she was trying to create her own timeline, which I told her, you're in CYA mode, and I get it, but it's a little too late. What you should be is in repairable mode, trying to remedy this situation and accept failure and responsibility for the negligence that your staff had. You don't know anything about these incidents. My daughter that's sitting not now, but was sitting next to me yesterday in the meeting told me that she's not even aware of the incident. She called my daughter to the office. Let me make sure I get this out because she's a bald-faced lie. She told my daughter that she had just had a conversation with me and she's not aware of the incidents that I brought to her attention. So she's going to let the SSO, for those of you that don't know, that's the Student Success Office. That's the principal's office, the assistant principals, I guess, the lower tier of principals. That's where they are. She told her she's going to let them handle it, or they're going to look into it because she's not aware of it. And I get it. You're a big dog. You don't really handle certain things. That's why you have your little underdogs that are supposed to handle them, but are supposed to know to follow policy when handling certain situations that's out of your hands until it gets that high up. I get that. That's why I told her, I don't know if this is a failure on your part or on your staff part, because at the end of the day, somebody got to be accountable. And it's either her, because she's in charge of them, or it's going to be all of y'all at the end of the day when you messing with me and any child that I didn't give birth to. Okay. Now, let me tell you where the lie was. When I've explained that I've contacted this school, I've left messages, voice messages, I've left messages with the assistants. I left a message or whichever time with her assistant and requested that she give me a call back. I never verbally spoke to this lady on the phone ever until that day. So you lied to my daughter, and that's how I know that you really aren't familiar with the situation. And then when she goes, she has her own timeline of events, not knowing, boo-boo, had my own timeline. I've been documenting everything, names, times, dates, incidents, my phone calls, reference numbers. So boom, not only did she lie there, this is how she was having a conversation to me. Not speaking on fact, not speaking in real life, not talking to me as an adult or a woman or as the principal. She couldn't give me any type of answers. Even at the introduction of the call, the first thing she said was, this meeting cannot be recorded. Okay, fine. Thank you for putting that out there. But when I asked her what is the reason, when I asked for the policy number that says that no appeal meeting can be recorded or documented, she looked at the lady next to her and was like, is there a policy number? The lady said no. She wasn't in the camera. She said no. And she came back and said no. And then I said, why isn't there a policy number? Who put this in place? This is the second time she did this to me. I said, who put this in place? She looked at her again, like to answer, and she looked back at me and said, it's at the principal's discretion. Guess who the principal is? So if I ask you, well, would you approve this being recorded just because there's going to be a lot of information within the meeting? She said, well, it would have to be approved. She's the principal, but it has to be approved by the principal, but you don't know how or why. And It's not a CCSD policy.